Started from the bottom, all I had was a dream. Always been alone, never really had a team. Cause the loyalty is suspect, nothing's what it seems. As I'm counting all this money, thinking how to make it clean. Never been broke, see I always had a job. And before I learned to hustle, I was taught how to rob. Nice with the hands, but I'm iller with the shot. Battling depression cause it's lonely at the top. Drinking all this Henny just to try and ease the pain. Though I never had regrets, there's some things that I wouldn't do the same. I would never change for some change, and I never let the sneak distance take me out my game. I'm a grown man. Unless it's for my kids, I don't hold hands. Cause they hate it when you focused on your own plans. So I gamble with my money, I don't gamble with my life in the street. Cause you only get one bottle of that Henny and I mix it with some Red Bull. Got a couple pills that I'm popping for the pain.
What's going on? My name is Marcus Whitley, and yes, this is Good Behavior. Now, this episode is another work release segment where I get to travel outside of the studio and interview different guests. And today I have a special guest with me who is also in a similar situation, being incarcerated like I was. His name is Rob Bourne. You want to say hi to the viewers and let them know a little bit about you?
True indeed, true indeed. First, I'd like to say first and foremost, thanks for having me on Good Behavior. You know, my name is Rob Bourne in law. I am 50 years old.
Okay.
I have about 30 years under my belt in the system. Right?
Wow.
I was incarcerated at the age of 18, right, going on 19, and pretty much spent almost half of my life incarcerated. And, you know, I'm here at this time to be able to share part of my story with Good Behavior.
Well, I appreciate you for coming through and sharing this experience with us because it was definitely a life-changing one. And 30 years is a long time.
Yeah, no, indeed.
So let's start it out with, what was it like when you heard them say life and you wasn't coming home?
I mean, it was unreal, right? Or it was surreal in the sense where, I mean, I was one of those dudes that I wasn't trying to do a year, right? So I'm in there and I'm trying to figure out every way that I could possibly get out of the situation, you know, how I could beat, you know, the case, you know, what loopholes, or, you know, just trying to figure it out, right? And at a young age, you know, you think you're invincible. And even in that situation, I still felt it, but it was different because life without parole, that's bananas.
Yeah.
You know, that's bananas. So the fact that I was in it, it caused me to use everything that I had within my being to try to fight that. But with an underdeveloped mind, you know, what does that look like, right? Everything that within my being, right? I think I know it, everything, when I don't know much except for the streets. So, I mean, I just was trying to put my wits together, brother, to get out of this situation.
So while you were trying to fight it, so I'm guessing you went through the appeal process and everything to try to get your case flipped?
Well, I mean, initially was the county bid, right? Where you in county waiting trial. And during that time, I'm still close to home, even though I'm locked up. You know, right? So everybody who I knew pretty much was present during that time and trying to support. I was getting visits, letters, right? All the things that you would want to get, right? And it kind of cushions the situation. At the time, I had a son who was born 2 weeks after I got locked up in the county waiting for trial. So that became the main catalyst, right, for knowing that I had to change my life. So during that period of time, there was no appeal because I didn't go up yet. But I think it was like 13 months that me and my co-defendants had waited to go to trial. Eventually, I pled out, right, to second degree, right? They was offering natural life. I pled out to second degree. And that was the beginning of my road upstate.
Okay, so once they heard that they gave you life, Did that break you, or did that make you feel like I got to do something to get home? This can't be the rest of my life.
It didn't break me in the sense of breaking me where I felt weak. What it did was it made me feel like there was something that I had to do to change the situation. I still was on that vibe, but I knew how I was going about it initially wasn't the way, right?
Mm,
I still was being manipulative. I still was in denial as to what it is. I'm trying to, maneuver the story, in ways that I could. But at this point, I admitted to certain facts, right?
mm,
Got the second degree life. Now I'm upstate. So now I got to do the time,
mm-hmm.
right? But I knew in order for me to come out, because the difference between natural life and second degree life is that you see parole at 15. It's not
Okay.
guaranteed,
Mm,
right? But you see him at 15,
okay.
and only 2% of the people who see him at 15 actually get the parole.
So with pleading out, then that's why you weren't able to do the appeal process.
Correct. There still
Okay.
was remedies that could be taken, right?
Mm,
Of course, when you plead is different because you give up certain rights,
yeah.
right? And the appeal is one of those things because you didn't have a trial, right? But there's things that you could do to try to get back your plea, right? There's a
Mm,
certain, whether it's ineffective assistance of counsel, whether there's newly discovered evidence, right? You had to have something to go on, right, in order to take the plea back. So that's a whole different process than the regular appeal, right?
okay. So before this happened,
Mm.
were you always in the streets growing up, or were you put in a situation where you feel like you had no choice, you had to do what you had to do?
Growing up, well, first of all, I was blessed to have a two-parent household up to 8 years old. My father was incarcerated when I was 8 for bank armed robbery. And that was one of the biggest changes, right? If not the biggest change in my life, because now he's removed out. This is where drugs came in to the household. My mother started using drugs. She became addicted. So now, in between 8 to 12, right? I was gradually losing, right? The only parent that I had.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, we were visiting my father upstate. So I got to see upstate as a child, which was an interesting experience in and of itself. But yeah, bro, it so that set the tone for me eventually going into the streets. I lived with my grandmother after a while because my mother was fully in the streets. My father had yet to come home, but then he came home on parole and went back.
Mm,
But when he went back, it's crazy because my mother had lied and said where he was. Because my father's originally from Queens, New York. And she said that he was in New York, right, during this time that he was missing. But in reality, he was locked up. I happened to get into a little argument with my mother, and I ended up going home on my own. I used to have my key, but we were in Springfield, but we lived out in South Hadley, Mass.
okay.
So I was able to make my way home. I left my little brother in Springfield. My mother had rented her car out for some crack. They didn't come back with the car, right? So I made it home, and then I went to school the next day. When I went to school the next day, they called me down saying I had a phone call, and it happened to be my father calling from
Wow.
behind the wall saying that he's back locked up, and that's how I found out where he really was.
And he was able to call you in the school?
He I guess he went to the caseworker's office, right? And the caseworker, and they called the school, and I just happened to be in
Okay.
school. Now had I not dipped off on my brother and my mother, right, and went home and went to school, I still would have been in Springfield. I would have never got that call to know where he really was,
Wow.
right? So that caused me to see my mother, a certain way because of just the lies that was building up. So I say all that to say, you know, these are part of the things that steered me towards the street, right?
Okay.
I came, my family was a middle class family. My grandmother was a working woman, owned the house, but I felt like when it came to money, like I used to write notes, right, and leave them on the table, right, for $20 just to go get my hair cut. Back then, you had the high top fades, right, and I would go to Ernie's on Bay Street to get it, but I had to write a note to my grandmother, hoping that when I woke up, the $20 was there, just to get my hair cut, because I wrote the note because I felt like I didn't want to hear no, right. Long story short, after a while, got tired of that. The starters came out. I wanted a starter. Boom. Ran into some dudes, right, that they were selling loose powder cocaine in Duggan Projects. And bro, that's that's where it began. No more asking grandma. You know what I'm saying?
It's that taste of independence that you don't want to let it go after that.
Yeah. You know, I was on my own, and you know, at that time I'm sneaking out the crib, right? We living behind Eastfield Mall. I'm sneaking out the crib, going into town, the Adams Park, Carlisle Street area. And that's when just the wheeling dealing has started. So at this point, I'm like, I want to say about 13, right? 14, you know, in the street. So I had a run probably from 13 to 18. 18 is, you know, and 18 going into 19 is when I was incarcerated. So I had that run of being in the streets.
Yeah, I mean, 18, 19, that wasn't even much of a run. Like,
Nah.
you went early.
Nah.
But how was it? What was that experience like for you when you went upstate to go visit your father in prison? Like seeing him behind the wall. Like what was that like for you?
Well, first it was good in the sense because I'm going to see Pops, right? My Pops was my superhero, right? He was one of them old school, you know, black belt having beating up the police type dudes, right? Everybody was kung fu fighting back then, and he was one of those dudes, and he was known for that. So he was my superhero. So being able to go upstate, now I get to see my guy. You know what I'm saying? And you know, there was other men that started coming in the house, and I started seeing I didn't like, you know what I'm saying? So I felt some kind of way about that, angry towards my moms with that. But seeing my Pops was like, you know what I'm saying? That was the best part of the day. You know, and when I went to see him, he, you know, he diesel. You know what I'm saying? Got the arms, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, tall, you know, he shiny, he looking good. So again, that just reinforced the concept of manhood in my mind, right? And I'm not gonna say a false sense because it was the manhood that I had, the manhood that he knew, right? Which was real, but it was incomplete.
Yeah.
So but I learned that later on. But it was enough for me to build my persona and myself as I'm moving through life as a teenager, right? And then I'm in the streets, right? You know, I'm York's son because people knew my father. You know what I'm saying? So, but I was able to build up my own sense of self and reputation. But I'm still connected to that line of York's son. You know, that people knew. You know what I mean? And that's just, you know, that's what it was. You know.
Now, do you feel like with everybody looking at you as his son, that made you feel more proud and want to be in the streets even more because now you feel like you're getting more recognition for being his son and like that connects you to him?
No, absolutely, because while he was in there and he ended up coming out, when he came out, I'm already pretty much wheeling and dealing. I'm in between, and I actually moved in with him, right? And then he lived in the hood, right, that I was already associated with. Now I'm living in that hood, right on Bristol Street. So it was just a natural union with me in the streets at that time. And then my father, you know, he started getting high as well, right? So he didn't have the moral authority, right, of a father that, you know, nah, you're not doing that, right? He pretty much let me do whatever I wanted to do. So that coupled with being in the streets, it just created a mentality where, you know, I'm me, right? I'm him. And then I'm running with a crew of dudes that I thought, you know what I'm saying, was upright, and a lot of them were, but there, you know, there was a few that were not. That's a whole nother story. But, you know, the name, and they knew him. You know what I'm saying? But we was able to still distinguish our own separate identities, even though we were connected. You know what I'm saying? So us coming together, we became, when it needed to be, it was a force into itself. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying? So
I mean, it was, even though it wasn't that father-son connection,
mm,
it was still important just to have that bond
yeah,
together.
yeah.
So
Nah, it
you,
was. It was. And like I said, my father was a martial artist, so I grew up in martial arts, right? I grew
mhm,
up, watching kung fu flicks. I grew up with him walking, taking long walks, and he's showing us, wrist techniques and,
yeah,
things of that nature. So we had that bond. And then he was giving us something that we could take with us outside of him,
hmm,
right? And still to this day, my love of martial arts comes from, you know, um, my father and how I saw him, you know what I'm saying? And how I seen, his movement, right?
hmm,
Um, in the streets. But that connection is super important. But that connection is what led me ultimately to do what I did, to end up in prison.
hmm,
You know what I mean? And it was connected to the fact that his just backing up a little bit, when I was 8 years old, while he was going to trial, I testified on the stand. And they had asked me, and I remember this clear as day, the DA speaking, and he said, "Do you recall, right, the day you came home from school and your father being there?" So I'm looking at the DA and I'm looking at everybody and I'm stunned, and they waiting for an answer. He repeats it. "Do you recall?" I finally look up at the judge and I say, "I don't know what recall means."
hmm.
Right?
Wow.
And he told me what recall means, but my father ended up being convicted and I felt responsible for his being convicted because I testified and my testimony didn't work. This is how I'm taking it from an 8 year old's perspective.
Yeah.
Right? So in my mind, I failed him. But what it also did was it gave me a love for words, right? So that
Mm,
when somebody's speaking to me, right, they would never use a word that I didn't understand or they couldn't make sense of, right, to have the conversation and move forward. So that inadequacy in me produced, a love for reading, writing,
hmm.
words. So it was a positive that came out of that negative.
Right. I was just gonna say that.
You know what I'm saying?
That's,
So, and I was able to take that with me, just throughout my life in terms of my intelligence and
hmm,
the way I speak, the way I carry myself,
yeah,
et cetera. So,
that's a blessing in itself, right there.
yeah, nah, word.
But now, when after you were incarcerated
Mm,
and you found out like this is the time that you're doing now,
mm.
did you ever think that you would make it out?
Bro, I'm gonna be honest with you. Yeah, I wasn't accepting
So you
that.
never gave up hope.
Nah, bro. And
Mm,
that's I always I always see myself beyond those walls,
hmm,
right? And my change in prison, like I wasn't one of them dudes who went in there and had a 10-year run a while and out. Like I started my change actually in the county. I had met this brother, and the way the brother spoke, right, attracted me. So one day the brother's in my cell and we talking about God, and the brother started talking about, he said, you're a God, right? And possessive. You know what I'm saying? You keep talking about your God and boom, 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 boom. So I finally asked him because he kept saying it, right?
hmm.
But he was saying it, I came to realize he was saying it to draw me in for me to ask this question. And I'm like, bro, you keep saying you're God. Who's your God? You know what I'm saying? Then the brother hit me with this jewel, bro, that just started my whole, it reinforced my mentality. And he said this, he said, the black man is God. So I said,
Hmm.
bro, if you God, then jump over that fence, right? Because I had this fairy tale concept of what God is. Jump over this fence. And he was like, bro, that's not God. He said that God is supreme intelligence. So I can go in the law library and find the law that will unleash me and unlock me, right? To be over that fence.
Hmm.
Boom. And bro, just when he said that, it
Okay.
just made so much sense to me. And from that day, I started studying. So this is in the county.
Hmm.
I started studying and I started studying words. I started, I'm saying, I'm writing letters and to the shorties and boo boo boo, and it just it fueled my quest for knowledge on the road of being upstate, right? So it set the tone for how I would use my time, um, in that. So yeah, bro, I see myself as being out and just meeting this brother and my learning, just fueled that.
Mm.
It fueled that.
Now that was a blessing too, like being able to open your eyes and make that change in county before you even get
Yeah.
before you even went upstate. Because
Yeah.
for me, it took 3 years into my six before it was a lifer who sat me down and it was like, you can't keep living like this, because I had hatred and like running through me the entire first 3 years. Like I just wanted to come out like I hated everybody, and I wanted to go after the people that put me in there.
Right. That's real.
And
That's
then
real.
when he sat me down, he's like, yo, it's not worth it. You got to think about your future, what you want to do, because you don't want to end up back in here.
True.
And like after having all these conversations with him, I'm like, yeah, I got to change.
Right.
I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I'm like, because I want all of these things from me, and I'm not going to get them if I'm just full of hate.
Right. And just to not to cut you, bro, it's like what people need to understand, right? Because this is right good behavior, right? What people need to understand is how important those conversations are, right? To have with each other, especially the elders with the younger generation, because bro, we don't know. Like me, I'm thinking that, I'm gonna beat the world. I'm gonna beat the system, not understanding how big the system was, because I grew up watching my father fight the system in the form of fighting police. I didn't know that my fight would be the same fight, but I would have a different angle. I would come not from a toxic masculine version of the fight, but I would develop myself in a way where I'm developing myself internally, to understand the system that I'm in and how the system shaped me and us as a people, right? And then how to go about fighting, right? So I was learning the proper way to fight, which was not through my fists or using the gun, right? But now by using my mind. You get what I'm saying? And that was, I think, the difference between my father and I, right? Is he was physical, right? As his son, right? I became spiritual, right? And mental in my pursuit and in my fight. I love the physical. Like I said, I'm into martial arts, but I see that there's a higher dimension to it, right? Than that was illustrated to me at the time. And that's the part when I said earlier that his version of what I saw in him as a man is incomplete. I still can use that, some of that, but there was things that wasn't missing because he had yet to fully accept his moral obligation in terms of a father in his own development, right? He still was lost in that, right? Which, paved the way for me eventually inheriting incarceration, right? From that situation.
Now, you said he was heavy into the martial arts. Now, being in martial arts, that takes dedication and commitment. So do you feel like, because it worked for you where you were able to use your mind over your fist, do you think there was something in him that made him use his fist over his mind, or do you feel like he was open to both?
I think he was open to both, but I got to look at the context of time. When you go back into like the 60s, right? The revolutionary time where our people are rising up, black power, right? And you fighting the establishment. The establishment's the enemy. That's the overt outward enemy that you see, right? So it was easy to engage, right? In the physical. But understanding that system can only thrive based on the ignorance of us as a people, right? That's a different fight, because when you fight physically but you still ignorant, you still fall victim to the traps that's out there, right? So cocaine was a trap right, for our people. The lack of education was a trap, right? The loss of consciousness that you've seen in the 60s, the consciousness you seen it was lost in the 70s, right? And then you see crack was introduced right after that to make sure that, we remained at a certain level. So my father fell victim to that. So that tells me that there was something that he didn't know, right? And that he wasn't aware of in his discipline, in his ability to fight and exercise certain things. There still were certain things that made him vulnerable to the conditions of life that was before him, right? Which is all of us. Every generation has that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That we got to fight, you know, but the more education that we get and the more knowledge of self that we get as a people, right? As black people, as original people, right? The more we see the various oppositions in the form that it takes.
Mhm.
And I think that that's important, right? I began to see what he saw, but I saw deeper in what he saw, but I seen how our ignorance was connected, right? So what he saw, I didn't see it the same way.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't see it the same way. So I was able to use prison to help me develop and grow versus seeing it as something I needed to fight.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So it was one of those things where, you know, I made my enemy my friend.
No, I
know?
mean that's what's up.
Mm.
But like, so for him, even though like he only saw one way,
Mm.
he was still able to teach you what he did know. So
Oh,
you
D.
still were able to learn things from him. So he was still
D.
a father, but like in his
Yeah,
own way. Like he
yeah,
wasn't able to teach you how to open up your mind. Because
yeah.
if he didn't know that, but he taught you what he did know, and
Mm.
I mean that's important right there, because
Yeah,
you have so many fathers that aren't there or are there but aren't there at the same time.
yeah.
It's like you're physically present, but they're not spending time
Right,
with the kids or teaching them things.
right, right. And what I see with that too, bro, is just to add on is that, you know, a lot of times as men, we lead with our egos,
Mm-hmm.
right? So with your ego, you pursue what you want, right? You disconnect from the bigger picture,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because it becomes all about you, what you want, your desires, right? So you could make a family and then dip off and go somewhere else because your ego is telling you that you want that chick instead of the one that you started a family with over here,
Mm-hmm.
right? Leaving that family vulnerable to those forces that we spoke about. But now you over here recreating a whole nother reality, but yet this reality is left unattended, right?
Right.
So, you know, those are things, man, that I began to see within myself, and I just wanted to be able to fill in the gap, right? Because we all, you know, we all come from something, we all experience something, but I wanted to be able to be an add-on to my community versus taken away.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the biggest thing. But I knew in order to do that, I couldn't do it with my ego.
Right.
Right? My ego is like where your ego is where struggle is. You know, when my study of martial arts now, that's where I try to focus from, you know, because I had gotten to Wing Chun, right? And it was a different way of fighting, it was a different way of learning, and I had to think different to learn that science, right? And to be calm, right? Because naturally when you're in a situation you get hit, right, the mind automatically focuses on where you was hit at, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you want to hit back,
Right.
right? So, but sometimes you might not be in the best position to hit back. You have to reposition yourself to be in the best position to hit.
Mm-hmm.
But it takes a sense of calmness, right, and detachment, right, from your own ego to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's what a lot of us as black men we suffer from, the inability to do that, right? Because we come so wrapped up in our ego. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And you know, and you see that with martial art. You know, you see it in the world. You know, my art is better than yours, right? I can do better than
Mm-hmm.
right. You can't do what I could do, type of thing. Versus learning from each other and okay, you can do that. Oh, damn, I like how we do that. Let me try to learn that, then take it and make what I learned from him my own,
Mm-hmm.
right? And give it my own unique twist, and then we just evolve from there. You know, but that's what I was able. I say all that to say that's what I was able to do for my father. So I did learn from him. I did take, right, the best parts of him,
Mm-hmm.
right? Love that, embrace it. But I also was open-minded enough to not, even though that's my father, to see where he was weak at,
Right.
to see where he lacked more authority, to see how his lack of more authority as a father affected me as a man growing.
Mm-hmm.
Because if nobody could, if my dad can't tell me nothing, nobody can tell me nothing. So that gave me a natural disrespect for authority.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't respect authority, right? It wasn't until I came into, you know, the 5% nation and the Nation of Islam that I started understanding the importance of authority and respecting it. Because like him, I went into the system not afraid of what I was going to get into with other inmates. I was afraid of getting into it with the police because that's what I seen in him, right?
Yeah.
It wasn't my brothers. It was them. It was the establishment. So I still had the mentality he had, but I was able to see past it and grow beyond that to see like, bro, it's deeper than that.
Mhm.
So I did, get some good stuff from him,
But then, like you said, you still went after them, but in a different way. You used your
Yeah.
mind. You hit the law library. You sitting there studying. And you did what you had to do to get out. So now you beat them. You just beat them in a different way.
Yeah.
Which
I beat them by getting another black man and making him conscious. Putting my consciousness or putting consciousness in another black man was my way of beating them, right? Because the more brothers you raise up, right, the more you hurt them, right? Because this system is based again on our ignorance. So the more that we're conscious, right, the more you hit, the more it hurts, right? Which is, consciousness.
that's important. Like that's what people like us are trying to do. Go out here and open people's eyes and share our experiences and our stories with them and let them learn from our mistakes, so that way they don't have to make it and they can find other options to do.
Nah, word.
Because
that's why this is dope. That's why I appreciate what you doing, right? And the fact that you took it upon yourself, right, to go beyond yourself with this podcast, right? And like you share with me, like, I ain't like talking, but bro, what the message was bigger than that,
right?
So the fact you was able to detach from your ego, right, and then go and be like, bro, I'm about to do this podcast. I don't care even if I don't talk good, I'm gonna learn how to talk good,
right?
You know what I'm saying? And and I appreciate this.
Like it came a long way. Like it started with me working in the alternative schools, and that only happened when I found out I was going to be a father. And I'm like, okay, what can I do to make the streets safer? Because I don't want him to fall victim to that.
Right.
So I'm like, I had an opportunity to work in the school. So I'm like, all right, if I can try to help these kids and steer them away from the streets, then I'm doing my part to make it better for my son to grow up in.
Dope.
And then while I'm there, maybe 2 years in, I'm having a conversation with one of my coworkers, and we were talking about how come they're not teaching life skills and things like other options to give these kids than the streets to help prepare them for when they graduate, or even if they don't graduate, if they drop out, let them know that there's still things that they can do.
Right.
But we knew the school wouldn't do that.
Right.
So next best thing, he was like, with everything I've been through, why don't I try being a speaker? I'm like, that's cool, but I'm not really a speaker. I can't just go up and just talk at people. I'm like, I've done smaller workshops and stuff and try to, like, I talk with people because I like to interact with people. I want to know that I'm really helping people. Just like I'm a personal trainer. Like I won't do classes. I do one-on-one or small groups. So that way I know what your needs are and I can help you as best as I can. So I also used to do music. So I figured, all right, if I can't speak, let me write. So I sat down and I wrote my first book. And then people kept asking me, oh, what's prison like? So then I wrote my second book that's all about prison. And then I got into my third book, which was all about my mindset and mental health growing up. And so
That's
all
dope.
the books kind of connect.
That's dope.
And then I'm like, all right, I can't get everybody to read the book, so let me try to podcast. So now I can reach more people with the same concept.
Then they come back and go grab your book.
Right.
Nah, that's dope.
So I'm just trying to find a way to expand and reach as many people as I can.
Listen, the entrepreneurial mind is one of the greatest things, bro, that you could develop. You know what I'm saying? Because when you have that mind, you always gonna eat, right?
Right.
You're gonna find a way where there's no way. It's like water. When you watch water finds the path of least resistance, right? So when you see it runs into an obstacle, you see it spread looking for another way, right? That's that entrepreneurial mind, which, is powerful because it also shows that there's a degree of freedom there, right? So that you're not confined to your condition. Your condition don't define your environment, don't define you. You learn how to find a way out, of that environment. And I think that that's important, as a people, and just you doing what you're doing now, I'm sure you're going to inspire many others, to do it. And hopefully, man, our talk and the more people that can hear us having this dialogue, right? With two successful brothers, right? Because that entrepreneur, I'm looking to do some things as well. Right now, I am a supervisor at a recovery
Okay.
residential house. You know what I mean? So I'm dealing with people who have addiction and mental health, right? Co-occurring diseases, right? So it still puts me in the place to do the work and to help people be better, right? To raise them up a degree from where I found them, right? I don't care if it's the person that's in, I'm going through driveway, I'm in the Dunkin' Donuts line. If I can make you smile and make your day better, bro, that's what I try to do, and that's, my name means that, right? Ra, right? Ra's the sun god, and the sun gives life, right? So everywhere I go, that's what I try to do as a function, is to give life to the environment that I'm in, is my way of giving back. Because once you've been part of taking life, right? Once you take a man's life and you've been a part of that, right? You owe. You owe, right? And that's a debt that you can never fully repay, because you took away infinite potential,
Right.
right? By taking a life. So that means that I owe, that my debt is infinite, right? But as I move and search for knowledge, and the more people I touch and the more I change, right? I can't say that I repaid that, right? But I could say that I gave back in trying to, right? By giving more life. You know what I'm saying? And and that's what I do. And that's how I go about life. That's how I viewed myself in the prison as I was going through prison. Just being greater than I was, bro. You know what I'm saying? Being greater than what my father was. Right. So seeing his weaknesses wasn't about me looking and judging him. It was about how can I be better?
Right.
Because
And he wouldn't even be mad. Oh, my fault.
Yeah.
Cutting you off. He wouldn't even be mad at you for that, because every father's goal is to make their son better than them, or to make their children better than they were.
Yeah. It should be. That should be the goal.
It should be.
Right. But
so he would be proud of you.
Yeah. Definitely, man. And I think, when he, the last time I saw him, he asked me if I had his back. And I said, yeah, of course I do. Right. So when he was murdered, my having his back was to respond to his murder. Right. That's what I thought. But having his back, I came to see as I matured in mind. That's how I perceived it as an immature 18-year-old. But as I matured in mind, having his back was making sure that my brothers was good. Right. Making sure my family was good. Making sure that I was the best man that I could be, because he always told me that I was better than him. He always did give me that. You know what I'm saying? He would always tell me that I'm cooler than him, right? Everything that he would tell me that I'm ER of that. Right. And I reflect back on that, and I'm like, yeah, he was giving me, right, the better parts of himself, and hope that I would catch on to that. And I used to be like, yeah, you bugging, getting on my nerves, you annoying, right? Because he's saying little stuff, but the stuff that he's saying stuck, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I began to understand him as a man deeper as I became a man, right? So I can't judge, right, what I think that he didn't do for me. What I got to do is improve on what he did. What he didn't do, or he didn't do it, all right, well, let me finish that. You know what I'm saying? And that's my way of honoring, as the scriptures say, honor thy father and thy mother, that your days may be long, right? And even with that, our parents may not have given us everything that we need, and they may have took away, or we might felt unjustly dealt with by them. But bro, honoring them is being able to look at where they may have left off or fell short, and adding on to that. You know what I'm saying? And being better, because at the end of the day, even if father, because sometimes fathers can be jealous of their son when they attach to their ego, right? Because you might be living a quality of life that they wanted to live, but they never found, but you did, right? And you did it the right way, right? But at the end of the day, all they can ultimately say is job well done, son. Right? They can't take nothing from you,
Right.
right? Because you added on to something that they may not have gave you, but you found. And me, bro, I found a lot that wasn't given to me, but the key is I found it. You know what I'm saying? So it makes my love greater, right? For them, for myself, just to the people in general.
Now, all right, circling back to being incarcerated. You said after 15 years, you get a chance at parole. So how did that go for you?
So, word. That was an interesting time. So what I was doing was I was preparing, bro. Like I said, I didn't see myself as staying in the joint. So I was making preparations. So as time was getting close, I'm making moves. I'm reaching out to people. I'm trying to build my support. I originally was from Springfield, but I saw myself going to Boston because every time I thought about Springfield, I seen darkness.
Mm.
Right? Literally, bro, I seen darkness, right? Even though my family there, everything I knew was there. It seemed like the light and the support was coming from the direction of Boston. So when I got out, I went there. But prior to me getting out, right, you have to see the parole board. It's a 7-member board. So it's not like the regular board where you in the county or you in prison and, 2 board members come and, you see them. I'm before the whole board, right? One of the most nerve-wracking, hardest things that I had to do in my life, right, is to go before these people, right, to petition, right, for a chance, right? And notice I say a chance at release because when you on parole, you still serving your time in the community, right? So that means that they can pull you back, right? Any little thing they can pull you back. So, but just to be given the chance, man, to get on the other side, you had to humble yourself, right? You had to work on yourself because they want to see the work that you've done all that time, and they only have about an hour, 2 hours to see what you put into yourself in 15 years, right? And the board members are very intelligent people that come from different backgrounds, psychologists, psychiatrists, right? Lawyers, right? Police officers, right? Every sphere makes up this board. So you got all these different minds coming at you to probe and unlayer you, right?
Yeah.
That's deep. So if you've been bullshitting, the bullshit's gonna come out
Right.
in the unlayering.
They're
Right?
gonna see right through it.
Yeah. Right. So I was blessed, bro, to be of one of those 2% to actually go the first time and get it.
Wow. That's
I
a
got
blessing.
parole. Yeah. And the math of it all lined up. You know what I'm saying? Like I remember I went on the 7th, bro. It was April 7th. I remember, and I got the decision back April 14th, 7 days after. You know what I'm saying? And they wanted me to finish the CRA program for me to be released. That was it. Bro, I got out August 21st, 2009. You know what I'm saying? One of the happiest days of my life. Literally, bro, when I stepped outside of that prison, the air was different. The quality of air was literally different, bro. You know what I'm saying? And I remember, my peoples picked me up. I had a new gear on. You know what I'm saying? I had, I felt good, and all I wanted was some fruit, man. Fruit salad, man. Bring me a fruit salad up, man. I can eat along the way. But yeah, man, it was one of the greatest feelings in my life because all the work that I did in that 15 years and all the pain and the suppressing of emotion to get through it, right? It paid off. It paid off. But little did I know at the time that was just the beginning of my journey, though. You know what I'm saying? Because now I had to reintegrate, right, back in society. Now the emotions that I suppressed to get through was necessary for me to connect, and I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know how to do that. So that was a whole nother journey.
Yeah. So that.
You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot, bro. It's a lot, to unpackage. That's why this opportunity, this time is a lot. And not speaking a lot because it's a lot, but that's why this is dope because I know when I go back and I watch this, it's gonna trigger other things. You know what I'm saying?
So how was it for you, like adjusting to being outside again, finding a job again, and just back to being yourself?
Like, bro, I gotta tell you, I don't even think I'm fully myself now. But nah, it was cool, bro, because I was always a good people's person. I have good presentation. People see me, they'll take interest in me. And what I did was I would get up, and I was in the Nation of Islam at the time. So I was in the Nation in the prison. I got out, went right to the Nation. And so I was going into forums and speaking about, right, my experience briefly. And places would have me come back. I was going to Suffolk College. Not Suffolk. Is it Suffolk? Yeah. Suffolk University in Boston, right? And they was paying me to come back and talk, right? About change, about prison, right? And one of the things that they said, and this is good for you too, is that they didn't have a book at the time about prison that was written from people that come from where we come from. A lot of people are middle class or higher class writing about prison.
Right.
They were not really as, I won't say not interested, but they weren't as interested. The story did not resonate with them in a way as when it comes from us, right? So your book, important. There's a need for that, right? How are we telling this story? There's a need for that, right? Because people need to see that you don't have to go through Harvard. That's dope if you do. I ain't knocking it, but you don't have to go through that, right?
Right.
To have an education, to be intelligent, to be able to spark, you know, the minds of other people, man, and to be successful, right? We went, like Malcolm X said, the second best place after the university is prison, right? Because that's where you get to meditate and reflect unhindered.
Nothing but time.
Right? Yeah. And we learn how to use time. Bro, listen, I still got a version of time. I move like how I move, bro. I'm terrible with time, right? I move how I move. So I'm the last dude there. You know what I'm saying? I got an appointment. I'm just making it just in time. You know what I'm saying? I go on a date. I'm late for the date. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's just, you know, but that's part of my scarring, right? From doing time. And I know it. You know what I'm saying? I know it. And it's just me wanting to move how I want to move after being told how to move and made move a certain way. You know what I mean?
See, for me, it was the opposite. Like before I went to prison, like I was just whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. Like I would be, I'd be late all the time. But prison it stuck with me that I have to be on time for everything. Yeah. Like my OCD is just, it's crazy.
I need that though. You know what I'm saying? No bullshit. I need that, bro. I need to be better at that. I know that, you know what I'm saying? But I think the people who are around me, man, who accept me, to, you know, I get chastised in my own way, man, but they allow me to be me because they get it. You know what I'm saying? And to me, that's dope in terms of the support. You know what I mean? They allow me to be myself. And then when I'm other than myself or that part of myself that ain't cool, they check me.
No, you know see, it's important. You need people to like.
Yeah. I you know, I love that, bro, because I can't grow. I can't develop without that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then again, my father let me do whatever I want to do. So that's not something I need in my life, even though I have a lot of moments where I want to do what I want to do. And that was one of the difficult parts of my journey was relationships, bro. That's where I had trouble with. You know what I'm saying? That's where I still struggle with, to be honest with you, because relationships require commitment, right? They require time, right? They require the things that you give of yourself that after incarceration you want to hold and make yours, right? You want to do what you want to do. So, you know, I still have some of that in me, man. And coming home and I didn't know how to connect emotionally. I didn't know how to be a friend, even though I thought I did. I didn't know how to be. So I had to learn that over time. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still learning how to be better. I'm better today at it than I was. But bro, I had no idea that sometimes people just need an ear. I'm looking at what can I do because I don't got nothing. What can I give you? How can I serve you? I'm thinking everything was material. But it was just my ear sometimes. It was just me sitting down and having dinner with you and, you know, how was your day? And you listening to you vent, right? And just being present. I didn't know how to do that shit, bro. As simple as that was, I didn't know how to do it.
No, it takes time.
Yeah, you know.
But that's like the last episode I just did was called Sacrifices. And one of the things I was talking about, I called it that because it was all about trying to find balance. That's something I've always struggled with. And then I learned that in order to find balance, you'd have to sacrifice growth. Because there's only 24 hours in a day. You can only do so much. And if you're sitting there trying to do all this, you're not going to be able to reach new levels and do new things.
Right.
And that also goes with what you were saying before about ego. Ego is also let's say the killer of growth, because you can't have an ego and grow.
Right. Right.
So it's
Nah, that's key. And that, you know, and I use ego as an acronym, right, for edging God out. Right.
okay.
When you edge God out, bro, you left with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And not the self that's connected with God, but you the self that's the little finite self that, right, don't matter in the sense where it's just about you. Right. Because at the end of the day, the value of the self is not just you, but it's how you affect the lives of other people, right? Because our universe is an ecosystem, right? We're interdependent upon each other. So
Mm-hmm.
once you disconnect from reality because of your ego, right, you put yourself in a prison,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's a prison that don't got four walls, but it's the same thing, right? You trapped in your own mind.
Right.
You don't really do nothing, right? You miserable. You everything that you see a miserable dude doing time. When you see somebody trapped in the ego, they the same way as that dude that don't got nobody in the joint. Nobody come to see him,
Mm-hmm.
right? He always by himself,
Right.
right? Nobody want to talk to him,
Mm-hmm.
right? But he looking for attention though, right? And it's like, bro, you know, you can be that without going to prison, right? But you trapped in the confinement of your own mind and your ego.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So nah, that's that's huge, bro. You know, that's huge.
Now, when you got out and you got yourself established and everything,
Mm.
you had also got pulled back in.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
What was that like when you found that out?
Oh,
And how long
when I
were
went
you out?
back, gosh, bro, so there was a situation where I'm paying rent and it was expensive, bro, based on what I was making at the time. So I was looking for cheaper housing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I found a spot that was cheaper, but I learned that my co-defendant cousin lived there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so before I moved in, and the rent was cheaper, greatly cheaper, right? Dope. But before I moved in, I reported to the parole officer, like I found a place. However, I also found, right, that my Cody lived there. Bro, they brought us both back for association,
Wow.
right?
So even though you let them know, they still
Yeah,
pulled you back.
they still pulled me back. And it was in the climate, it was a political climate. It was a political move though, because at that time, the white dude, um, his name escapes me right now, but Sinelli. His name was Sinelli. And he shot and killed the state trooper. That was a big thing in the state, right? There was a jury, you know. But the thing about it is he was out on life parole, but he wasn't a lifer for murder. He was a lifer because he was a habitual criminal.
Hmm.
But they lumped the lifers all together and it became the murderer, right? You let this murderer
Wow.
out, but which he became, you know, a thief becomes a murderer when they stay in the house long enough, right?
Hmm.
He became a murderer. But everybody who earned their way out, who committed murder but earned their way out, now was pulled back on every little whim, right? That
Hmm.
happened, and now they had to be reinvestigated if they were supposed to be out because of this. So I had got caught up in this. My peoples had got caught up in that, and I was only out for at this time. I think it was 18 months.
Wow.
It was 18 months, and we went back because now they weren't letting lifers out. Um, And so we went back. So I had to go through the whole process, see the parole board, the full board again. That was an interesting feat,
Hmm.
right? And all this can be requested, right? These videos of these
Mm-hmm.
parole boards are free, you know, so you can go on there and request boom, Rob on the law parole board, right? I've been before them like 3 or 4 times, right? In these violations, but they let us out, but I was the first one they let out. It was on the news and everything. You know what I'm saying? The first 3 lifers to be re-paroled out, and I was the first one to get out, so it was on the news. Um, you know, in regards to that. And then the next time I ended up meeting a woman and I got married to her, which became a huge mistake. And she was using my parole as her control mechanism. So I was
Wow.
back in 8 months, right?
After the second time you
After
were
the
out?
second time.
Ooh. Yeah,
Right?
that's
Yeah. Right. And they left me in there for 18 months, right? And then they released me. Then I was out for I want to say 21 months. And then I went back And a lot of this back and forth, brother, was life lessons, because when you go in young, you don't have the experience to make certain decisions, right, on your own, right? And if you don't got the right people around you, you got the wrong people around you, right? You that's the lot. It just so happens, man, that I opened myself up to the wrong people, right, in those times in my life, man, and I end up going back because I was still connected to the system in a way that's just so fragile, right? Pulling on the lifeline. You know, I had to do is tugging, and I'm back.
Now, when you got pulled back, say for the one from your marriage, and they put you back up there, do they tell you, all right, you're gonna do this amount of time and you're out again, or do you just have to go sit up there, wait to see the parole board again, and have to go through that whole process?
Well, in Massachusetts, I can't speak about any of your state, but in Massachusetts, when you're doing a second degree life bid, you're on parole for the rest of your life serving your sentence. So you're in a different bracket, right? It's almost like you're in a purgatory state where you don't know, you in between, bro, right? And you don't know which way it could go. But at that time, they was giving up to 5 years. So you get a 5-year setback and then you see the board. Or you could get a 1-year setback or a 2, right? But 5 years was the max. You see him again, but they could give you another 5. So now 10 years could have went by, right? And right, you seen parole twice in 10 years, but that's 10 more years of your life, right? That's a whole nother almost life bid, because 15 years,
Yeah.
right? So if you keep getting these 5-year setbacks, so usually like if you get into a fight, right, or do something crazy, right, they'll give you the max setback, which is almost like another bid. So yeah, so that time was the 18 months that I sat in there. Then, you know, they let me go, which, you know, that was a lesson like, bro, choose better. Choose better. Protect your shit. You out here now, protect it. Make better decisions, right? Which, you know, I had to do, but I still didn't fully get the lesson because, bro, at the end of the day, I'm a nice guy, right? I'm a nice guy. Admittedly, a ladies' man, right? That's my problem, right? And what happens is when you let the wrong woman into your life, right? That's, you know, you open yourself up, you know, to shit, and that's what I did, unfortunately, because what it was I wasn't being, not that I wasn't being honest, because I was honest about the situation being a physical situation, and that's what it was, but the person wanted more, right? And me denying giving more, it became something else, right? So now I was subjected to this woman's emotions, right? But that cost me now 7 years of my life. I went back for 7 years, right? The woman ended up going as far as putting drugs in my house, right? And which was bananas. That's an adventure all into itself, bro. But what was crazy is this: is I knew that in 7 years I would be released, bro. I knew based on that number 7 that it was something that I had to learn and go through for that period of time. But I knew on the 7th year I was going to be released. And on my logo, right, my clothing logo, it's a 7. It's 3 sevens that form 1 7. But I developed that before I came home, before I got out, because I knew that on that, right, I was going to be released. So that goes with the vision of knowing what it is. Because, bro, at the end of the day, I know who I am. I know what I contribute. I know what I bring. And I know my connection, right, to the divine. You know what I'm saying? And with that, I was able to be like, yo, all right, I got to sit for 7. Fuck, that's half of the first life bid. You know what I'm saying? That's half of that 15 years. But, you know, I managed to get through it, brother. And now I'm here today, and I'm where I am now. But I have those lessons, right, to support me and back me. Those times that I was going in was my evolution.
Right.
So every time that I got out, I came out better. I drove better each time. I thought that I would be losing, but each time it was an increase, even though I was getting out of prison, because that, you know, at the end of the day, that's what I'm supposed to be. That's what I'm supposed to have, and can't nobody take what's yours divinely, right? They can't take it. They can prolong and make you think something is not what it is until you figure out that, nah, that's mine. But at the end of the day, what's yours is yours. You know what I'm saying? And that's what me being here today, sitting here with you, you know what I'm saying, it's mine, bro. It was destined to be, right? Through all those setbacks. There was times where I'm like, damn, am I gonna get out again? Cause, right? But then I'm like, nah, bro, this ain't it. This, you know
Right.
what I'm saying? Like I've been given too much,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for that to be that. You know what I'm saying? I already outgrew that environment. Now I need to experience life, make mistakes in life, and grow and evolve.
And the parole board and everybody else has to understand that too. Like, you were gone at a young age.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
you have to make mistakes again.
Yeah.
Like to be able to learn and grow on the outside.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm sure they're understanding for that. And they're like, they'll see through if you were lying.
Yeah.
So they know that, okay, I just made a mistake. Like, I'm learning out here.
Yeah. And some mistakes, it's hard. What I learned was this, jewel too, bro, because at the time that I was seeing the board, it was predominantly women.
Hmm.
So, and they coming at me, bro, with it, and I'm defending myself, boom, logically, boom. But what I was doing was, as a man, I was thinking linear, right? As men, we think linear.
Hmm.
What I learned is that women think circular, right? Martial arts, right? Linear, circular. So I didn't understand when they gave me the setback, even though I'm defending, I'm logically defending why that can't be what you're saying. I'm logically doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But they wasn't, because at the end of the day, they was looking at the accumulation of all my journey.
Oh.
Right? The full circle. Bro, you've been here 3 times. Right? Me, I'm looking at each time this is separate. This is because of this. I told you guys, right? This, she set me up. This one, she set me up. I don't even sell those kind of drugs, right? I'm logically, it makes sense, but that's not the point. The point is, bro, you keep putting yourself in situations that's taken from your life because you're not looking at your life full circle. You're just looking at these like men, right? Until we mature as men, then we start thinking full circle, right? So I began to see that. I saw that, and I'm like, yo, wow, these women are teaching me, even though it wasn't the lesson how I wanted to receive it, right? It wasn't the dude who was the ladies' man. They seen that, but bro, that shit ain't nothing. Yeah. That's your problem. That's your problem, right? And they were teaching me that I had to humble myself and learn how to think, right? According to the whole spectrum of my life and where it is that I wanted to go and what I need to do to get there. And the way that I was going was not the way for me to get there. You know what I'm saying? So, but if I wasn't humble, bro, I'd have been like, right? I'd have been mad at the system. I would have been back to the mentality my father had fighting the system. I'd have been back. You know what I'm saying? So, but I refused to go back there because I was learning and I was able to catch the jewels as they was coming and adjust like water, right, to those situations, right? So,
see, this is where a lot of people get stuck is they don't pick up on those little things.
Yeah.
And again, that comes down to ego. Like, they're set in their ways. Like, they don't want to hear what anybody else has to say, so they don't catch all them little jewels. So it's a blessing that you were able to catch that and be like, okay, this is how I got to look at it. So that way this doesn't happen again.
Yeah. Nah, I'm a jewel catcher, bro. I'm open, bro. Whether I'm watching a movie, whether I'm listening to you, whether I'm listening to whoever, even anybody, bro. I'm a jewel catcher. When you throw it my way, bro, because I'm looking for it. I know it's necessary, and I know you communicating to me, and the fact that you got my attention, there got to be a transference on something. I always know that. If you catch my attention, if it's in my ear sight, my eyesight, my feeling, there's something for me to learn in that moment, and that's how I think. And that's how I move. And that's why I'm able to be successful regardless to the amount of time that I've done. They weren't able to take my mind. You know what I'm saying? So people wouldn't even know that I was incarcerated unless I told them. That's the blessing that I love, is that I don't wear prison on my sleeve, bro. Like some dudes, you could tell that they prison, you know what I'm saying? Like they shell shot. They're institutionalized, right? I was blessed where I wasn't able to wear it on my sleeve, but you had to come close enough to me to know that that's my experience. You get what I'm saying? You had, because I can't trust everybody with that.
Right.
So you had to be, right, close to me where I'm communicating my more intimate aspects of myself. Other than that, you just think that I'm a dude who I'm successful, right? Got it going on. You look, oh yeah. Some people thought I moved away down south all those years. Nah, I'm in the enjoyment, right? I'm doing a hard time, bro. You know what I'm saying? Growing into a man in prison and not even a full man because I don't have the full experiences of a man for me to say that I'm a man.
Mm.
This is what I'm learning now at 50 years old, right? How to be a man,
Mhm.
right? So that's what it is, man.
But one of the things I learned, age don't even matter. As long as you're
Right.
able to wake up that
True,
day,
true,
it's never too late.
true, true,
Because like,
true.
life is short, man. So if as long as you're taking advantage of every day that you're given, it's never too late.
Word. That's why, bro. It's just, when I was told of this opportunity, when it was brought to me, bro, I had to take it sooner than later because it's an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? It's an opportunity to help your platform. It's an opportunity to help mine. And it's just an opportunity for us to grow and hopefully help other people
Mm-hmm.
that listen to our stories, bro, right? And just know that your life is a story that is to be told.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's what's important because everybody got a story. You just gotta learn how to package it,
Right.
right? Make it yours. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is, man. That's what ownership is,
Mm-hmm.
right? You making it yours. And a lot of people don't even have ownership of their own shit,
Right.
right? You ask them, about themselves, and they can't tell you, or they give you somebody else's version of themselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? They talk to you based on what their mom instilled or father instilled in their mind about them, and you be like, bro, that ain't,
Mm.
bro, you smarter than that, bro. You ain't see, you just sis, you ain't see, you beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Like they letting somebody else tell their story through their mouth, right? Because they don't have the ownership and the
Right.
autonomy of self, right? To really learn and embrace self, man. And that's my thing. Embrace you, bro. You know what I'm saying? And my, any relationship, friendship, whatever, bro. I want a person to be authentically them.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that is, be that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And if I have an issue with a part of you, then I gotta check myself, right? Because is the issue you or is it really me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you triggering and bringing something in me that I don't like that I gotta look at, but I'm projecting it on you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's that's just how I move, man, and trying to and just be me. And hoping, trying to give other people permission to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing, bro. Freedom is everything,
It is.
and I ain't talking about physical freedom, but of mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And to be free to be who you want to be and to just to be who you are. You know what I'm saying? And that to me is everything, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's everything, regardless of what you've been through. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is dope, man.
It's definitely great to be able to give back.
Mm,
Now, you knew that you wanted to change yourself
mm,
up in county. So
mm-hmm,
you knew early.
mm-hmm.
So when was it that you decided that you wanted to give back and help other people?
It started in prison, right? Because now when I got the knowledge of self, I wanted to help others to be themselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I learned that as a people, we've been made other than ourselves. So once I learned who I was, one of the first things I did, bro, was gave back my government name,
Mm-hmm.
right? I gave my slave name. And I did that because I accepted the fact that who I thought I wasn't. I wasn't that street dude. I wasn't that dude that was selling drugs. I wasn't that dude that was from Bristol Street. I wasn't any of that, right? Bro, I'm connected to the divine. What? Right? that was mind opening to me, and I wanted everybody else that looked like me to know that that's you too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's you too. So, that was the platform, you know what I'm saying, that I rode on, you know what I'm saying, immediately. And that was my way of contributing, you know what I'm saying? And now, you know, being able to provide service through, my position now, but also, just building a business, right? That I'm in the process of, actually a few businesses that I'm able to, materially show, because people don't want to hear a story without no backing,
Mm-hmm.
especially nowadays, right? They don't want to hear you talking a good talk, bro, but you broke.
Right.
Right? We got what we call the poor righteous teacher. The poor righteous teacher don't mean that you poor, right? physically, but you teach the poor or those that are poor in righteousness how to be rich and who they are, because ultimately the ability to materialize like what you're doing is within. Like all this is within, bro.
Mm-hmm.
This is your vision. You know what I'm saying? What you drive, your vision,
Right.
right? What you do for yourself is your vision. But you wouldn't have been able to access that if somebody didn't shine light on you, you know what I'm saying? To show you that, bro, boom. You know what I'm saying? And you started seeing other people do it. And you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I could do it too. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do it my way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And you know, that's what it is. So if I can help brothers, you know what I'm saying, do what you doing, or to do whatever it is that they want to do, but give them hope that they can do it. Like me, bro, in my profession, I remove all excuses, because I got people that come with all kinds of excuses. I'll be like, bro, I got the highest crime in the land, bro. Right? So in terms of an ex-convict, if nobody want to hire me, bro, you can't tell me that. You can't tell me that you can work through that, because I did it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? You can't tell me that you can't overcome your environment, because I did it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm doing it. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and I try to look presentable doing it. Like fashion is my thing. So I'm, you know, mostly when people see me, I keep myself up because people want to see success.
Right.
Right? People see with their eyes first. Right? It's like you see that woman, you see her with your eyes first. You don't know her mind yet.
Mm-hmm.
But what you see with your eyes is enough for you to get close enough, want to know what's in her mind. Right? It's the same thing with us. They want to see some sense of success. They want to see some kind of symbol or something to be able to listen to you.
Right.
Right? And that's the thing. I remember 50 Cent saying something about a dude pulling up in an old caravan versus a dude pulling up in a Ferrari or a sports car. Which one you gonna listen to? Right? Which one you gonna hear and what he gotta say? You know, and it's unfortunate, but that's the reality of it. So yeah, man, I market, you know, myself in that way.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just not somebody that looks a certain way. I also got quality mind, heart, um, and willing to serve
Mm-hmm.
my people. You know what I'm saying? And you know, we just can look good doing it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
No, but that's what's up. So, all right. With that being said, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? So instead of
Good
a
question.
5-year setback, let's talk about 5 years in the future
Word.
now.
Yeah.
We're gonna keep it positive.
Yeah, nah, word. I see myself, man, as right a successful business owner,
Mm-hmm.
a family man. I mean, I'm 50 now, right? So it's like, you know, I do want to settle down and have a family. That's mine. I do have a son. My son's 31 years old, currently incarcerated. So I wasn't able to stop him from inheriting what I inherited. You know, so that was a setback. But in moving forward, man, I want to be able to have a family, man, that I can instill these positive principles in, man, and create generational wealth, right? Give something, man, that I can pass on, right? Um, I'm looking to open up All In Auto Solutions, right, which is basically an automotive service where, you know, I'm renting out luxury vehicles for the people that want, you know, they want to drive nice, but for a day, too. But also provide an economy line for those that have like do ride shares. They do DoorDash, but they don't have a vehicle. Man, you know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I want to be able to give people those kind of platforms where they may not have the credit to get a car, but they can rent a vehicle and be able to build up, you know,
Okay.
their vehicle. You know, some detailing within that. I'm into fashion, so I had started a line. It dissolved now, but I'm bringing it back up, which is all in all Lux Co. You know, which is my own same, you know, logo. We got a brand with Jack, right? That's coming out. Some clothes that we putting out, vintage wear and apparel. So there's a few things, bro, that you know I'm trying to get into, man, and it takes capital to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's always the hard part. But at the end of the day, I see myself successful in all those ventures, bro. and just continue giving back to my people. You know what I'm saying, in the ways that I can. You know, but yeah, bro, just just that. I think that that's part of being a king, part of being a god, being divine is doing that. You know what I mean, and just being beneficent, right? And showing mercy, man, to those that are in need of mercy, in the sense of, they don't know how to do it, and some people may not deserve to do it, but the blueprint is there, right? Through my legacy and what I'm sharing, that they may be able to be, find success too. But yeah, that's what I see, bro.
Nah, that's what's up, man. I wish all the best for you and success and all of that.
I appreciate that. Likewise.
Because, I mean, honestly, I feel like there's no reason to hate on what anybody else is doing, because like one of the things that I tell my kids all the time in school is, how many millionaires are in the world? So there's more than anybody can count right now. So it's nowhere does it say or show that only one person can be rich, only one person can be successful.
Right.
So why not want to help the next person?
Right.
You never know. Like, maybe that person can help you. You guys can learn together. You can pick up things from each other.
Right. Nah, that's it. That's the move.
And it takes too much energy to be negative.
Yeah, for real.
Like, it's being positive and being kind. It just comes naturally.
Right. Nah, for real.
That's something I want to keep pushing to everybody, and
for real,
hoping for the best, so that way we can win. I mean, we all know already the system is broken. So as long as we can, like you do, open your mind, and we can overcome all these obstacles. And I know they gonna hate to see it, because I mean, you saw Concord and Walpole closed. Like, we outliving these jails now.
Right. True.
So it's
facts, bro. And what you doing right now, you know what I'm saying, is bridging the gap, right? Because we're creating new realities. You know what I'm saying? We're creating new possibilities for people that need to see that, because some people don't even know what they can do until they see somebody doing it, right? So somebody watching this, your kids watching you do this, just like me inherited prison from my pops, bro. Like, right, and certain things from my pops that was negative, you building a reality, man, that your kids can see and be like, yo, I want to do that too. They start playing with the lights in the phone, and you know what I'm saying, and everything they see pops doing, and that's dope, bro. So as long as we keep doing that, we gonna be good. As long as we keep being able to dialogue amongst our people like this, we gonna be good. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, there ain't no need to hate. Why do that when helping your brother expands you, right? It makes you better, right? It adds on, to your reality. You know what I'm saying? And as long as we doing that, you can't fail.
Right.
You can't fail, bro.
And like the same thing I tell these kids too is, everybody, whether it's now or the older generation, like, when you out there, you repping your street, you repping your gang, but what are you out there after? Everybody chasing green. That's all that matters. So it's like, the rest of it it's irrelevant. We all have the same goal in mind, and it's out there.
Yeah.
There's more than enough for anybody to have.
Yeah. Nah, for real. Stop trying to spend street cred, right? You ain't street cred, don't cash in, right? Build your credit up.
Right.
get your financial weight up. Get your, because at the end of the day, bro, that's how you are able to transfer wealth into your people. You know what I'm saying? Understanding that. Get your credit score up, so now when your kids is old enough, you can add them to your credit. Boom, now they got it. You know what I'm saying? Like, you transferring something on. You know what I'm saying? Versus now, when we grow up, we got our parents is using our name to blow up the phone, bro. Next thing you know, we already got bad credit because they didn't use our name to run up the AT&T bill. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. So we done inherited bad bills and bad credit. You know what I'm saying? Because people don't understand the value of our future. You know what I'm saying? In the way that they should. You know what I'm saying? So
it's on us to break the cycle and be able to teach our kids better.
Yeah. Nah, word. And we doing it, bro. This is
day by day.
But I appreciate you, man.
Nah, I appreciate you for coming. So is there anything else you want to let the viewers know about before we go?
Listen, man, good behavior. Support this podcast, man. This is going to be great, right? Get the viewers watching. right? Great topics, great dialogue, right? You seeing black men, right, interacting with each other in a positive way, support that, right? And for those that, you know, are looking for information, right, this you gonna find it in a lot of these kind of circles.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So I thank my brother for having me. I thank him for inviting me, man, to share some of my story. I hope you guys got something from what we shared, his story, my story, our story, and how we able to come together, man, and relate to one another. Hopefully can produce a bigger story,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that we can roll out with and bringing them that dough, bringing that green, man.
Mm-hmm. It's a
Yeah,
goal for
that's it, bro.
this new year, man. We here.
That's it. That's it. So this is an ending the new year, so that's peace. I appreciate you
Mm-hmm.
for ending the new year with me, man. And you know, this is a good beginning for my new year. So, you know,
Exactly. We ready for it.
yeah, yes, sir.
Now, I hope this episode was able to show you that it doesn't matter what you've been through in your past. You can still have a better future. All you got to do is set goals for yourself, stay committed, stay dedicated, and just go out there and get it. Now, I'd like to thank my special guest again for coming through and sharing his story, because it was an incredible story. And you all got to see and witness the turnaround that he's done and been able to give back to people and be successful. Now, my name is Marcus Whitley, and this is Good Behavior. So until the next episode. For more episodes and info, you can find me on all social media at I am Marcus Whitley, and find any of my books, Both Sides of the Street, Choices and Consequences, Greatness Under Pressure, and Battling Demons, all on Amazon. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel.